from the Figure 4 Online Studios in beautiful Bothell, Washington, exclusively at WrestlingObserver.com. You're listening to the Bryan and Vinny Show with your hosts, Brian Alvarez and Big Vinny V.
All right, it's Bryan, Vinny, and Craig show here November 12, 2019. Figure4online.com/WrestlingObserver.com. Retro Raw and Nitro 19 years ago this week. Are we done yet? Dude.
We're getting closer.
It just...
These Nitros are now just a complete waste of time.
Dude,
Absolutely.
this whole... I gotta rewrite this stupid book again. I mean, this story of, they're just boring, but they're not bad. No, this is a bad show.
This is a bad show.
Have we not got to the boring but not bad part yet?
WCW, still dead.
God, it's so bad.
Getting deader.
I got lots to say about this Raw show as well. But anyway, where are we in the fantasy football? Rob's just itching to talk, so let's hear it.
What's that?
Vinny, where are we in the fantasy football here?
You had one thing.
I didn't hear what you said. Sorry.
Rob, can I ask you a question?
No.
Here we go.
Why are the headphones on? Am I wrong, everybody?
Look, I've got a lot of shit going on in my life.
I know,
Don't
but
fuck with me.
what were you doing when the show started? Were you not listening to the show?
I saw
You kept looking at
yes,
me.
I saw you looking at me. I was taking my headphones off so I could talk because the fucking echo on this thing is still not fixed. But
You know you're the only person that has that problem?
I'm fully willing to accept that fact, but it is what it is.
Okay.
All right.
What's going on in the fantasy football?
Vinny, he doesn't yell at us when he deals it wrong.
So, Tom
get to
lost. Tom lost this week to Ryan
No.
Frederick. Yes.
Yeah.
Tom failed me,
He got stomped.
and he got mad at me for telling him I needed him not to fail me. So I'm sure that's going to doubly pound me the next time he ever.
He just
sees
ruined
me.
our booking.
Yes.
Vinny, is there any hope for this to be turned around?
let's
Yes,
see here.
Rob.
There actually is.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
I was just looking at the schedule, and this week, Ryan Frederick, our new champion, faces Antonio the Promise Thomas.
I see. So if Antonio... Wait.
Yes. So if Antonio wins, and he can win until the last week of the regular season, I play Antonio the last week of the regular season.
Who has the belt?
Ryan Frederick.
Oh, he's facing Antonio.
Yes.
I got it. Okay. So Antonio beats Ryan Frederick,
Yes.
and then you could face him in the finals and win your belt back.
Well,
That-
the last round of qualifying, actually, Brian.
The last round of qualifying.
Yes.
Okay.
That is correct.
What does this all mean, Vinny? Translate for me.
Okay.
How's your Rob to English?
I'm not sure.
Yes.
Honestly, okay.
was
So
that
Ryan
even
Frederick is the champion.
Okay, I got that.
He defends against Antonio this week.
I got that.
There's only 3 weeks left.
Yes.
We're down the home stretch.
We're down to the final
Yes.
3 weeks.
So if Antonio wins this week,
Okay.
and then he wins the next week,
Okay.
then in the third week, he will face that guy, producer Rob,
Okay.
the belt of the line.
Okay. So
So all
Rob-
you need is for Antonio to win twice.
Okay.
And
That's
he's-
all we need.
He's 6-4, so
He should win. Who are his next two opponents?
Well, the champion,
the
Ryan
champion,
Frederick.
yes, and then the other one.
It's under the name Cheryl Ingram, but that's not the person's name. I forget who this is. Rob, looking at you for help.
Yep. So, all right. So after this week, he plays. Hold on. He plays. So he plays Bad Juju. Yeah, which is a mystery Matt from the board, and then after that, it's me.
All right. Well, so there's still hope.
There is still hope.
There's always hope.
That's the way to keep this involved between me, Rob, Tom Lawler, Antonio.
And then after that, we go into what, the playoffs, or how does it work?
Then there are the playoffs, and we won't know who's. It's
I
pretty tight.
see.
There's no way to know who's going to be in that.
I see. So I presume if Rob wins his belt back, it's not going to be up for grabs in the playoffs.
That's the way I would do it.
Goddamn right, it's not.
Well, Brian, you are guaranteed to have one thing to look forward to, because I only just now realized in week 13, I play that rat bastard Paul Fontaine.
Really? You get your revenge.
I have a chance to get my revenge.
Wow.
The guy who stooged me off and cost me that fantasy belt in the first place.
That's actually a
And I
better
won this week, by the
storyline.
way. I would still be champion.
That's true. That's true. You would still be champion.
His head will make a fine
Wow.
trophy.
So So Rob and Antonio for the title is theoretically the main event in the final week.
It's penciled
And
in.
you are getting a grudge match
I'm gonna
against Paul Fontaine in the final week.
I'm getting a grudge match either way.
This is incredible.
It is indeed.
It's incredible. Wow. Now, of course, Rob, even if Antonio wins and you face him, he's still probably going to beat you. You know this, right?
Not necessarily.
Okay. Rob's got a little bit of confidence, but he's not as cocky as he was when this thing started.
I've lost my cockiness a long time ago.
Oh, man. Wow.
Hey, before you get started, can I digress on something really quick?
Well, I guess. I
This
mean,
whole show is one big
you
digression.
started.
Fair. So do you know what else had happened 19 years ago this week?
You got married.
I got married.
Look at
Oh,
that.
hey. Huh.
Look at me.
Good.
Yeah. My wedding anniversary was yesterday, actually.
Wow.
19 years.
Would you like to cut a promo on your wife?
I wouldn't.
I would like to stay married for a few more
would
years,
like to cut a promo
so
on
no,
his
I
wife?
will not cut it. Although,
All right.
to be fair, she doesn't listen. She'll never hear it anyhow. But
You never know. Rob.
As long as we're doing digressions.
Yes, Vinny.
As we all know, my wife went to San Jose for the New Japan show and also the Monday Night Football game.
Dude.
Yeah, it's weird. But at the Monday Night Football game, she ran into a listener named Bryan Jensen.
Really?
And he introduced himself and said hi, and she says
How
here...
did she know him?
he
Or how did he know her?
We don't quite know.
Huh.
Our best guess is Facebook stalking.
Wow.
this is a little creepy.
It is. But she says, can you please give that Bryan Jensen a shout out? Saw him after the game as well. Super nice guy who helped ward off asshole fans.
Wow.
So Bryan Jensen, thank you for
Not
stopping my
Brian
wife.
Jensen, Vinny. That Brian Jensen.
That Bryan Jensen, thank you
Yes.
for preventing my wife from being stabbed by angry football fans.
I hope he changes his Twitter handle to That Brian Jensen. If he were smart, he would brand himself now. Well, excellent job, that Brian Jensen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Anything else, Rob? Now that your mic's open, are you done?
I'm done.
Okay, put the headphones on.
I will, thank
Which are listening devices. You aware of that?
Thank you, Brian. I was not aware of that.
Rob, you weren't. That's made abundantly clear on the show. Am I wrong, Vinny?
The way your eyes lit up, when it was like in your head, you thought, "I've got it. I'll tell him they're listening devices. He'll figure it out."
Well, I wasn't sure. That's not what I was thinking. I was thinking I'll tell him. I was not thinking he'll figure it out, just to be safe.
No, to be fair, I still have the echo, but
All right. Well, I think that's something in your ears.
don't get me started.
I mean, I guarantee it's something in your ears. I just don't know why nobody else has this problem. It's only you. Ken never has this problem, right? We ask Ken questions. Has Ken ever complained that he's got an echo?
Ken senses are the best.
Right.
Well, that's true, but I mean, he wears headphones too, so they must work. Let's talk about this Raw show here.
WWF Monday Night Raw, November 13th of the year 2000. Angle comes out for a promo. This is out of nowhere, this is the go-home show for Survivor Series.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Till they announce it later.
And we announce here that Angle will be defending the title against The Undertaker at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, he says, I want to prove to everyone that I am who I say I am, a superior athlete and the WWE champion. Therefore, I am challenging The Undertaker. That's the build.
Pretty much.
The heel champion wants to prove he's great by challenging The Undertaker, who he says, I will prove that he is in fact bad and an ass.
He did say this.
He has such great delivery.
On top of all this, he's going to defend the title tonight against a man who insists he can win with one arm tied behind his back. And so we get Kurt Angle versus Crash Holly with one arm tied behind his back.
Well, it didn't last, but that was the match.
That's how it was announced and how it started. Now, they said this was set up when Crash almost won the title on Heat.
Yeah. That
So-
match sounds awesome.
Well, it was very good here.
It was probably better on Heat.
May have been. So, first of all, I guess the title is at stake on literally every show these days. The world champion must defend on every single show, even if there's a big show on the already booked. So, immediately, Crash just unties himself and fights. It's not a disqualification. But you know what? I don't care. They had a great 3-minute TV tag match. A 5-star 3-minute TV match. Did I say tag match? I think it did.
I don't know, but I don't think the rules were he had to have one hand tied behind his back.
he
That
just
was his own
insisted.
stipulation.
Yes.
I see.
So he untied himself.
So
and
he fooled
so be
Kurt
it.
Angle.
Yeah.
He lied to him. Regardless, for the 3 minutes they had, it was awesome.
He is a liar.
Crash Holly?
Yes. I mean, that's abundantly clear.
This crowd believed that in less than 3 minutes, Crash Holly had won the world championship with a DDT.
It was a
Because
great
Kurt
false
Angle
finish.
is great.
And you know what?
They're both great.
Yes. Crash is like the top of the list of guys who I did not realize how great they were at the time. I remembered him as a guy who had the awesome Fun Forest skit and then a bunch of other stuff. I look back now, Crash Holly was great.
He was great, but he never showed how great he actually was.
Crash Holly was great at taking a German suplex onto his back of his head.
Sure. So, Angle wins with the ankle lock. He did not lose the world title to Crash Holly on this Raw opener. He's destroying him with a chair until Bob Holly returns.
You do realize, by the way, that if Crash would have won, it would have been Crash versus The Undertaker at Survivor Series for the
would have been
championship.
fun.
That would have been great.
These fans believed that was a possibility at some point during this match.
That would have been okay to see that.
So Bob Holly makes his return after this is his first show back after suffering a broken arm at the knees of Kurt Angle on a moonsault. So the spot is that he's going to run in and tackle Kurt and lay in shots. I bet Bob Holly, who from everything I've ever heard and read, hit everyone all the time anyway. I bet he never hit anyone harder than he hit Kurt Angle here. Edge and Christian attack Bob. Undertaker attacks everyone. The heels run for cover. Place is going nuts. This is all excellent.
Yeah,
Well, I will say one thing, that Bob is not a dumb man.
true.
So I'm not sure that he hit Kurt Angle as hard as he could.
Probably wasn't hitting him in the eyes or mouth area.
I'm sure he'd give him a mild pummeling.
I'm sure he worked snug by his own standards.
This was 19 years ago, and Undertaker running to the ring hurt me.
Surprised he didn't take the bike. So backstage, Trish explains, I think she said Triple H determined, but somebody determined that one of her men had to team with Kane tonight. So she's going to flip a coin.
Wouldn't it be Foley? Why would Triple H make this determination?
That's right. I guess it was Foley. Regardless, one of her men has to team with Kane, so she's going to flip a coin. She procures a coin from her bosom, flips it in the air, bends over to pick it up as her men check out her ass. Test wins the coin toss, so he has to go team with Kane. He's not very happy about it.
I think he lost.
If you saw the match later, yes.
He acted that way, so. Edge and Christian and Kurt meet with Foley.
This was great. So they're complaining about the interference in the opener, and Foley says, you guys interfered too. And Angle says, I do not want interference. I'm done with this interference. And Foley says, are you saying that you don't want Bob Holly, Undertaker, Edge, or Christian ever interfering again? And Kurt Angle says, well, not necessarily Edge and Christian, but yes. His delivery was so fabulous here. And then Foley signed them to a 6-man.
Yes.
Kurt Angle is the greatest. He's the greatest.
Mick Foley's office this week seemed to be a ticketing booth.
Yeah, I don't know what this was.
Is either that or a dunk tank. I'm not 100%.
I don't know. It was this weird thing where I couldn't see his feet or see his legs. But yeah. So then, all right. We this was teased earlier. One team is explained, but this has got to be the other show had an entire tournament built around allegedly random tag teams.
Right.
What nothing on that show nearly as random as this.
This was the real Lethal Lottery.
I've Chris Jericho teaming with Steve Blackman
Yes.
versus Test and Kane in, for no reason, a hardcore rules tag match.
Yes.
And he actually made a joke here, is this Battle Bowl? And I had not yet watched Nitro. I didn't know it was on that show. So the match goes on. It appeared that not only was there no reason for this match, but there was no time to plan anything.
Dude, I was so over this match. I do not need to see another hardcore match for a long time. They hit each other with stuff. They brawled. They hit each other with more stuff. Also, I look up and Jericho has pinned Kane with a lion salt. I have no idea how this was set up. I did not want to go back and watch. So that's all I can tell you. And then Test starts to scream at Kane because his partner lost. Kane chokeslam him, and Lawler says, this is proof you don't want to be Kane's partner. I was like, did you miss him yelling at Kane? You know what I'm saying? Kane didn't just chokeslam him for fun.
It's actually, it's more than that, Brian, because they had 2 spots in this match. It was, we will hit each other with stuff for 5 minutes, and we'll do 2 spots. Kane went for a chokeslam on Jericho. But at the same time he went for a chokeslam, Test raised the trash can way over his head to hit Blackman, and Jericho, in midair, grabbed the trash can, hit Kane with it.
Ugh.
That's spot 1. Spot 2, much simpler. Test swings the stick at Jericho. Jericho dodges. Test wipes out Kane with a stick. And then Jericho hit the cabrada and
So
won.
this is all Test's fault.
It's all Test's fault.
Start to finish.
Every part of it.
Okay. Lawler was paying less attention than me, I think.
That's entirely... Well, Trish was out there, so...
Well,
Yeah. The Radicals arrive and then come out for a promo. Benoit says he did not always get along with Triple H. After being in the ring with him, seeing what he'll do to get ahead, he's a man I respect. They show a clip from SmackDown of the Radicals saving Triple H and Rikishi against Austin and Rock. Eddie says he and Hunter have something in common. They were both smart enough to kick Chyna to the side. And she's not Mamacita anymore. She's Cheapacita.
Only Eddie could pull off this line.
I laughed. He warns Chyna and Goldilocks to stay away. Goldilocks is Billy Gunn. Tell me why to remember that.
right.
Terry outright says the McMahons have paid the Radicals off. And Dean's telling the fans to shut up when Foley finally interrupts.
Well, first off, I want to mention that this isn't that big a deal, but it's irritating to me. The storyline in WWE, as Chris Benoit has noted, is that it takes more than being the best wrestler to get to the top.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're pretending it's real, no, it doesn't take more than that.
Right.
If you're the best, you get to the top.
Well,
Sure.
Now,
He needs to cheat more?
theoretically, he needs to win. The person who wins the most matches doesn't get the title shots.
Or maybe he's taking a
That's
shot.
stupid, though.
Well, it is, but that's how it's booked.
I know, but it's dumb.
Maybe he's taking a shot at Triple H for dating the boss's daughter.
He's pointing out how dumb their booking is. The Undertaker is getting a title shot for nothing.
Well, no, the champion challenged him. That's at least something.
I see.
So this is just, anyway. This was the week where he's now the one Billy Gunn.
Yes.
Right.
Whoop-de-doo.
Well, at least they figured out Billy G was stupid after a week.
That's true.
And Chyna and he are apparently a romantic item.
I don't think so.
They're getting touchy-feely.
Maybe. They kind of are close, but
Well,
this is not like Eddie and China.
No. We'll get to it. So Foley comes out, says he's the one who brought them in. He does a Hunter impression, points out he's the commissioner now, and he books all of them in an 8-man against the one Billy Gunn and Chyna and Rock and Austin.
Where Terry and Saturn are legit item, they're awful handsy.
That's the gimmick.
Understood.
Lashley sticking his tongue down Lana's throat.
And there's that. Gotta commit, I guess.
So Kane is brawling with Jericho backstage, throws him through a window, leaves. We go to the break. We come back.
That's it.
Basically.
Okay.
Do you have any more to say about
It
it?
was a really cool spot.
Okay.
The window shattered everywhere. It looked cool.
Chris Jericho's like Ian Rotten. Like, he's bloody
Excuse
on
me?
every single show. Like, has there been a week he has not been bloody in, like, the last 2 months?
This one, because this was not blood.
That was.
But, I mean, he was covered in blood.
He was covered. It may have been ketchup.
Well,
I'm not
whatever. But the point is,
Raspberry
like,
jam.
every single show, this dude's bleeding everywhere. It's like Abby.
So what they did when they take him out, you just compared Chris Jericho to Abdullah the Butcher.
I did.
And Ian Rotten.
I did.
At least Ian Rotten is blonde.
No one bleeds more than Jericho in this period.
So to make it appear that Chris Jericho has been torn to shreds by going face first through a plate glass window, his head is fine, his face is fine. There's like 3 dots of blood on his right arm, and all over his left forearm there's just a big smear of some red substance that is clearly not blood. This is the worst makeup I ever saw.
That sugar glass doesn't hurt real bad, I guess.
Could they not go to the costume store and say, we need some stage blood?
And apparently, right after
Let's find
they
some
did.
reddish mud outside and just smear it on his arm. This looks so dumb.
they're in Ohio, they don't have red mud.
So anyway, Raven and Taz face the Dudleys here.
This!
So first off, before we even get to the damn smoke,
That's the only thing I care about.
I care about Raven and Taz go out there, and nobody cares one bit about them. And I'm like, I wonder why. Raven showed up out of the blue. He lost every last single match. I think they fluked into a win last week, if I recall correctly. But nobody cares. And Vince probably just went, these guys can't get over. And he's already broken them up. I was like, he's the king of the self-fulfilling prophecy.
That's true.
I will make sure that these guys are losers. Then I'm going to get mad that nobody cares. And then I'm going to break them up. And then, yes, there was smoke everywhere.
Everywhere.
The Dudley's pyro was out of control.
It wasn't even that. It was just no ventilation.
Yeah, I was going to say the fan shut off or something.
The
The exhaust fan.
during the point in the in the middle of the match, you could hear them turn on every single fan in the building trying to get. When I say when I say the smokiest building ever, there is a camera. It's on the floor in front of the announcers shooting the action. From this view, you can't see the Titantron. A big, giant 30-foot screen with lights all around it. It's gone. You can't see it. They're in the mist.
I was just happy to know that not every single solitary person in the building died of cancer within a year. It was so thick with noxious smoke.
I just figured they had hired RVD. Thank you, Rob.
Rob is here to be Craig's personal rim shot.
Thank you.
So I'm laughing my balls off at this match because you can't see anything. The fans are chanting, "We can't see." Everything's totally obscured.
Well, thank God. They would have chanted nothing if there hadn't been smoke.
There was something that happened on Raw last night where pyro went off, and I think it was Umberto. You couldn't see him for a while. No?
I don't remember this at all.
Okay.
I'm watching this screen, looking at smoke, just looking at it, and it affects my brain so badly, I actually get a coughing fit.
I actually had to clear my throat here, and also when Road Dogg came out.
Well, that's different. But yeah. So
Maybe that's where the smoke came from.
that would make sense. Raven and Taz don't get along. They try to get a table into the ring and can't do it, and I don't honestly know if it was part of the story or not. Eventually, Taz gets 3D'd and pinned, and then he suplexes Raven through the table, and they're done.
Great.
This is 5 of the weirdest minutes on Raw.
I had a ball. The Rock arrives.
Dude, at least in 2019, they explained that Roman Reigns is doing a charity event, and that's why he's late. On this show, Rock just shows up an hour in.
Every week.
Steve Austin shows up an hour and 20 minutes in.
Yeah.
They're big stars. They can come in when they want, I guess.
Ridiculous.
The Radicals bicker about catering. Benoit reminds them to remember what tonight is about and stares ominously at the telephone. For the second time, I laughed my balls off.
Yes.
Michael Cole is standing there with Tiger, Ali, Singh, and Lowdown. And he explains to them, "You have requested this time." And that's as far as he gets when The Rock walks by and Cole totally blows them off. Rock, 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 rock. I died laughing. Died. So Cole breaks the news to Rock. He's in an 8-man tag tonight. And that Rikishi is not here. Rock's mad at Rikishi. So Rock talks about the Radicals. He makes testicle jokes, penis jokes, short jokes, eyeball jokes, and Mexican jokes.
That about covers it.
And at the Survivor Series, broken nose or not, because apparently Rikishi has a broken nose, Rikishi will smell what he's cooking.
Yeah, they said Rikishi was in physical therapy for his nose.
For his broken nose.
Well, he had the nose gimmick last week. It was broken last week.
What kind of exercises do you do to make your nose better?
Breathe.
You have to go someplace to get that done for you?
Yeah.
Okay. Color me silly.
Edge has a plan.
Dude, everything in physical therapy you could do at your house. That's the gimmick. You have to go somewhere to do it and pay out the ass.
Okay.
Go ahead, Vinny.
Edge has a plan. He will take care of Crash. Christian will take care of Hardcore. And Kurt, you get the Undertaker. And Christian says, I have a better idea. I'll get Crash. Edge, you get Hardcore. Kurt, you still get the Undertaker. It was funny. So Lowdown is being interviewed again when a bloody Chris Jericho interrupts. At this point, they give up. They throw up their hands. They walk off screen. They flew to this town for nothing. They're never seen again.
Jericho got strawberry jam all over Michael Cole.
Jericho demands a match with Kane at Survivor Series and vows to chop him down. Kurt Angle and Edge and Christian versus The Undertaker and the Holly Cousins. This match was awesome. Mm-hmm. Everyone worked their ass off. Everyone looked good. My favorite part was when they had the heat on Crash, of course. Christian's going to give me a superplex. And the cutoff is Bob walks over, hits Christian as hard as he possibly can in the back, grabs him by the hair, and throws him down as hard as he possibly can. He hated the whole world in this show.
It wasn't just this show.
Fair. Taker gets the hot tag, breaks down into a big melee. Angle goes for the Angle Slam, but Taker escapes, hits a big giant choke slam, hits the last ride. The challenger pinned the champion going into the pay-per-view match. It was a great match, a great finish. I love this segment.
Yep.
I don't know if I go that far, but I thought it was pretty good. Kurt's a geek, but you got to set up the challenger. The Undertaker Reign of Terror. The Undertaker Reign of Terror sucked, but it gets worse once Brock shows up. Right now we're in the Triple H Reign of Terror.
That's 2 years away.
Yeah. We got a lot to look forward to.
A lot of terror on the horizon.
Yes.
Ironically, Triple H, not hardly on the show.
Almost not at all on the Terror Rising show.
Right. I got your joke, Vinny.
Yeah, I didn't even realize I made it. Deborah meets with Team Extreme.
You didn't realize you made a Terra Rising joke when you said it like that?
I tried to say the horizon.
I see.
Terror on the horizon is what I was trying to say.
It works. Write that down.
Now that we have explained it, I'm sure it's even funnier.
Oh, yeah. When you have to explain your joke, that means it's classic.
Best. Deborah meets with Team Extreme.
How about when I got an editor that didn't understand wrestling, and so they changed the name to Terror Rising in my book, making me look like an idiot.
She tells them in their six-person tag with the right to censor, both the tag belt and the women's belt will be on the line. If you can pin either champion, you will win their belt. Austin comes out for a promo. He had nothing to say.
Dude, he had nothing to say.
He already says, I'm having a hard time speaking without cussing.
Then he cussed.
Triple H is out with a back injury. We could have settled this tonight, but now we have to wait till Sunday. It would be too easy to hit him with a car, or hit his car with a truck, or go to his house and beat him, so I'll do it Sunday. And that's it. Team Extreme versus Right to Censor in a double titles match.
So a few things about this match. I still can't believe how good Ivory is in that skirt.
Yeah.
She works her ass off in that stupid
They've at least cut it up the side somewhat, so she has some mobility.
She falls down, and Lawler goes, "Ha! We can almost see up her skirt. Not that I would want to." It's like, wait a second.
Okay.
3 months ago,
Yes.
you were swooning over the idea of Ivory in her underwear. Now, all of a sudden, because she's with Right to Censor, like, you're appalled at the idea of seeing up her skirt. I just did not buy this for 1 second. He lost all credibility with me. And all the rest of this stuff. And
So
Godfather interfered 3 times in this match.
this match is a mess.
It's too many.
It's not even worth talking about. They spent this whole month now. We have to watch these stupid election segments. We don't care who you vote for. Just go exercise your right to vote. Now Lawler's burying people from New York for electing Hillary Clinton. just shut up. So, match is a mess. Matt is shouting at everyone, trying to get them into position. There's all sorts of finishes that are not finishes. And after, it's only like 3 minutes. There's like 95 near falls. And then the Good Father just pulls the ref out for a DQ.
I love when he was shouting in kayfabe and in storyline.
Yes.
Like at one point, Lita tags in and he yelled at her, "What are you doing?" I'm like, it's a tag team match. What do you expect her to do? Thought she was going to stand on the apron the whole time? That was bizarre. And he's a babyface.
Also, at the very end, Ivory got knocked off the apron and there's a cameraman in her way, and she's wearing 6-inch heels. So she appeared to twist her ankle badly. Mm-hmm. She was doing stuff afterwards, but also grabbing her leg repeatedly, so that sucked. Then we have Billy and Chyna in their locker room.
This was so painfully awkward.
So I think the idea is they're supposed to be developing romantic feelings.
Absolutely.
They're stroking faces, making sure they're ready for this, looking to each other's eyes.
So awkward.
Here's the problem. The most negative chemistry.
Dude, was like they didn't even know each other.
It's like they hated each other.
It was like they auditioned for a role, and this was like their first time ever meeting each other. They've known each other for years.
Working together regularly.
Who did Ted DiBiase Jr. get hooked up with?
I don't remember, but this is worse.
He wanted no part of that.
I think it was Maurice for a while.
Was it? Yeah, it was Maurice.
was Maurice.
It was.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, this is not believable. I don't believe that the one Billy gun in China are an item.
Nope.
So the Radicals have a main event match coming
Oh my
up.
God. They've ordered food, okay?
Not just food.
Meat.
A full course meal.
Big giant steaks and whole freaking potatoes.
And it looked really good, actually.
I'm sure it was.
So this lady shows up with the food, just some random lady bringing the food into the room. Eddie's all hitting on her, and Saturn throws whatever's on the table against the wall. This loud crash. She's putting the food on the table. Eddie's hitting on her. It's just going on and on. They're making so much noise. And finally, Benoit just goes, "Shut up!" There's dead silence. I even was taken aback. He was on the phone with somebody.
Told them they got the match they wanted. William Regal versus the Road Dogg. So
weird.
I didn't laugh. I mean, it was a little creepy about Benoit flipping his lid like that, but he let him make a lot of noise before he got mad.
he's a patient man. So Regal has a solution. If, for those of you who don't recall or are too young, the 2000 election was a mess. And so Regal has a solution. A monarchy. He explains how this would benefit everyone.
He vowed our new president will be a liar and a philanderer.
Well,
19 years ago this week, everybody.
Well, adding like all the others.
Oh,
So Road Dogg had a sore throat, which is amazing.
why?
Because he had to do an entire vocal performance here.
Well,
He does his spiel. It's a struggle. They're doing this match, and out of nowhere, K Quick makes his Monday Night Raw debut.
Yes, truth.
did he miss a cue? What happened?
His music played.
Yeah, his music played. He just came in.
There was such a weird spot in the match.
Yes.
though.
So, for those of you who don't know, this is R-Truth, Ron Killings. 19 years ago this week, looks exactly the same.
Regal and Road Dogg are both old, retired men now.
Yes.
Yes.
R-Truth looks exactly the same, and they are literally 3 and 4 years apart.
Mm-hmm. And he's a regular.
Black
Yes.
don't crack, baby.
When I mentioned this and posted before and after photos, I got that reply about 18 times. And the other reply, which is mine, I am convinced Ron Killings is a vampire. He may be 800 years old for all we know.
Well, he's not, Vinny.
You can't prove that.
Actually, I can. He's
So-
definitely not.
He runs down. I think Road Dogg was winning,
Yeah.
and K Quick attacks Regal for the DQ.
Yes.
William Regal has won. The Road Dogg has lost because of K Quick's interference.
We ain't got time to wrestle.
K Quick explains it's not time for scrapping, it's time for rapping.
Yes.
And the music starts, and they do a concert, and Road Dogg is fine with this.
The moment he said it's time for rapping, Road Dogg just grabbed that mic
Yeah.
and they went to town.
They had a concert.
Yes, they did.
So
So they cut backstage, and Foley and Deborah are dancing, kind of.
Sure.
Foley's shaking his ass.
Dancing.
And Deborah's kind of sort of shaking her ass next to him. And he does this giant hip bump and almost breaks her ankle. Like she stumbles and her high heel goes sideways and she goes, ah, ha, ha, ha. And they immediately go to commercial and they come back.
Yes.
And Steve Austin is furious.
Yes.
so perfect. In the year 2000,
Yes.
Deborah got bumped, and they went to a commercial and came back in there, Steve.
Yes.
On the network, Mick Foley assaults Deborah, and Steve Austin's he's pissed. I was the comedy on this show was out of this world, and this one was completely unintentional. So Austin gets as far as saying that if he's teaming with Rock tonight, all hell could break loose. And he stops and says, "I got a funny feeling in my gut. Something ain't right."
Yeah, now having watched the whole show, I have no idea what he was talking about.
Well, it didn't happen to him.
Well, yeah, but I mean, what, he could see everybody's future?
He something ain't right. There's a reason Hunter and Rikishi aren't here.
Something isn't right. Someone's going to get beat up on Raw. That's very unusual.
Steven Richards attempts to recruit new followers at WWF New York. Foley and Deborah go over the pay-per-view card. We have Austin versus Hunter, Rikishi versus Rock, Angle versus Taker, third from the top. Jericho versus Kane. Steve Blackman and Crash Holly and Molly Holly. Yes, Blackman and Crash and Molly against TNA and Trish.
I just love that her exact comment was, I want you to show me how to make these matches. It's like, are you building a house?
Do you have a
Show
pencil?
me how you make these matches.
Do you have a pencil and a pen? And Foley's like, that's how you do it.
This was just a time-filling segment.
Sure.
One Survivor Series match, the Hardys and the Dudleys versus Bull Buchanan, the Goodfather, and ENC. And then at the end, Foley motorboated her puppies.
Well, no, he had 2 fake stuffed puppies. But it was very creepy, the way this was set up.
Thank you for explaining the joke, Brian.
Yeah, well, people don't know what happened, so when you say that, they're all going to go to the network hoping for something they're not going to get.
I guess they might have. Yes, everyone. They made a boob joke. Billy and China went for a walk.
But it was, like, weird. I mean, I'm sure it was funny in 2000, but what happens is Foley goes, well, there's the card. Now let me see them puppies. Oh, man, I love those soft, bubbly puppies. And he's just all weird. Then he pulls out these 2 stuffed dogs. I'm like, God
And then
damn,
what did he do, Brian?
This is still on the network. Like, that was weird. Am I the only one?
I was so hoping you'd follow through with that impression.
No.
Yes, he did motorboat those puppies. The Radicals versus Rock and Austin and China, and the one Billy Gunn, who has brand new non-ass themed music. So they're having this match. It's a fine little main event. And I don't know what happened, because it wasn't like this all throughout the show, but suddenly I could hear everything they said in the ring. The referee is shouting at them, 5 minutes! And he's calling, reverse! Sleeper!
Well, to be fair, China was in there taking all the heat the whole time.
All right?
It's China.
Yeah. There was no sympathy whatsoever. The crowd did not care one bit. This is the Radicals versus The Rock and Austin and Billy and China. Nobody cares. China getting the heat, there was so little sympathy for her that, like, by the time it broke down in an 8-way, nobody cared about that either.
No.
They're watching all these people having a Royal Rumble, which always gets over. And they're like, oh, yay, cool.
So Rock and Austin brawl to the back and disappear. And Austin grabs Eddie, hits like 5 moves, and stuns him and wins. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I didn't even know how Austin got the tag.
He didn't.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
they were beating on
They
China
got the heat
whole
on
time.
China. A melee broke out without a tag, and Austin pinned Eddie.
Yes, this did not make sense.
No, he
this
was not the
referee
legal
should
man.
be fired.
So we cut to the back where Rock and Benoit are brawling. For a guy whose catchphrase was that he was the best damn technical wrestler in the WWF, Benoit was a great brawler.
Yeah.
He sets the Rock up, gives the signal, runs away. A car zooms by. Now, it's not enough. Like, the whole point of the storyline is cars are lethal weapons. A car hit Steve Austin and put him out for a year. So a car is zooming in on Rock, but we must do overkill. Mm-hmm. Rikishi is leaning out the driver's side window with a sledgehammer. Car, sumo wrestler, and sledgehammer. This seems sufficient. He hits Rock, vows to see his punk ass at Survivor Series. Hunter is driving. They leave. That's the end of the show.
So I was watching this here show, and especially this main event here. And let me repeat, this was the Radicals versus Billy China, The Rock, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And the crowd's just watching the match. And Foley had gotten down the Survivor Series card, and all I could think was, what in the hell is going on in late 2000? Like, what are the big rivalries? What are the compelling storylines? What is everybody doing? We've got Kurt Angle, the Kurt Angle, Triple H, Stephanie love triangle.
Done.
Just ended.
Yeah.
No satisfying conclusion.
Nope.
Steve Austin is facing Triple H in a week
Yes.
when Triple H just turned heel and revealed that he orchestrated Rikishi running over Steve Austin.
Correct.
What? Who cares? Rock is facing Rikishi because Rikishi beat him up because he's in cahoots with Hunter and he's framing The Rock. Who cares?
Sure.
Angle is feuding with The Undertaker
Just
for
'cause.
no good reason.
Just cause.
Chris Jericho is feuding with Kane over coffee. And then we've got the Hardys feuding with RTC because Vince is mad at L. Brent Bozell III. That's what's going on right now. Like, there's no new stars being created. They're running on fumes with Steve Austin coming back from his injury. His first big feud back is with Rikishi. Like, they got one big main event. It's The Rock and Austin. It's coming up at WrestleMania. And it is like, when Steve Austin turned heel, they ran off millions of people. And when WCW invaded and they screwed it up in 8 months, they ran off millions of people. But like, it's very clear to me watching this show that even without those two things, they're like on the way down. They're on the way down.
There was definitely a feeling.
It's just the same old thing.
Yeah.
And like, nothing is all that compelling anymore. We've seen it all. We've seen the hardcore. We've seen the table matches. We've seen the Hardys. It's the same people feuding.
Yep.
It's just,
Seen the ladder matches.
it's on the way down right now, even before Austin turned and even before they screwed up the invasion.
whole
Those
thing-
two things made it worse.
This whole thing sounds very familiar.
Yeah, 1998 WCW is what it sounds like.
I was going to say 2000.
Oh no, we're far beyond this. We're so far beyond this, it's not even funny. We're in 1999 WCW at this
Or how about 2019 WWE?
Dude, Craig, we're far beyond that. Like, WWE was here, like, a long time ago. WWE now is WCW in 1999. That's where we are. But they got billions of dollars, so they're not going out of business.
Right.
But it's just as bad as 1999 WCW. All right, Vinny, do your music. I got to go find out what's going on with this poor child. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you sure?
I'm ready when you are.
All right, well, I got to find the music.
Craig, can you hum? The finishes on this show were, I will go nice and slow to drag this off while Brian does fatherly duties. The finishes, everyone, on this particular episode of Monday Night Raw from the year 2000 were a clean submission. He's back.
Go faster.
You solved the problem already?
Whitney was sleeping and the baby was crying. And so I thought she didn't know, like she had turned some sounds on or whatever. The baby's with Grandpa.
Right.
So I was going to save Grandpa. But she's down there. So
You are not needed.
I'm not needed.
Okay. The finishes on this show were clean submission, pin in a totally random hardcore rules tag match, more or less clean pin in a tag match, clean pin in a trios match, DQ in a double title trios match, DQ due to totally random run-in, and clean pin in an 8-person main event.
Shazam! That baby's still not happy.
No.
It's being changed and...
Oh, all kinds of terrible things.
Huh, it's rough.
WCW Monday Nitro, November 13th of the year 2000. They're in London this week. Mentioned this on the Australian tour. The crowd was much hotter than usual.
Yeah.
Crowd was hot all night for this show. They should have never come back to the U.S. Just tour the world. World Championship Wrestling.
No, what they should have done is this should have been the season finale and they just ended.
And never do another show? Well,
Although the show sucked.
Yeah.
I don't know why the fans... I guess there's just nothing to do over there at that point. Because, like, how... Seriously, how could you like this show?
well,
You know what I'm saying?
it was a bad show. It had Goldberg.
I mean,
That was the only good thing on the entire show.
It was.
to be fair, when's the last time WCW was in England?
There was nothing better going on in England than
Just
WCW.
saying, when something comes around you haven't seen forever, you make a point to go see it.
So, on Thunder, the natural-born Thrillers turned on Kevin Nash and beat him up. And Goldberg beat up Bam Bam Bigelow. He is now focused on Lex Luger at the pay-per-view. The locker room empties. Everyone comes out to ringside. And I do mean everyone, except Scott Steiner. Booker T is out there. The Luger's out there being all chummy with Buff Bagwell's chummy with Luger. Luger's trying to blow him off. I thought they were feuding. I'd forgotten. Tony says something about having an envelope that he has to keep secret, and then it's never mentioned again. So Flair comes out finally. He is there to do a promo, state of the company address.
I think it was probably the list of matches. Like it was a format, so we'd know what to talk about. But he couldn't reveal it. He said, I can't reveal it until after Flair speaks. So I think Flair gave the matches, and the matches were in the envelope.
I see.
Why I thought about this, I have no idea.
So Flair, who is CEO, immediately starts talking about all the power Mike Sanders has as commissioner, but at least he finally said and explained plainly, flatly, I outrank you. I can overrule you whenever I want. Fine. There's the pecking order. He points out Sanders has not defended his cruiser heavyweight title.
Right.
He did correct himself. Gave Sanders 48 hours to do so I assume there's a match on Thunder.
Well, I hope so, because he didn't defend it on this show.
He did not. Promises the first ever London Lethal Lottery. He explains. 8 wrestlers picked at random.
Vinny, hold on a second. Dude. So, there's 8 people. Stars, he says.
Sure.
Okay? We're already off the rails. There's 8 stars that will be picked at random.
That's correct.
To form 4 teams.
Yeah.
The 4 teams will wrestle tonight.
Yeah.
When one team remains, those 2 will compete against each other on Thunder, the 2 teammates.
Right.
Correct.
And the winner gets a championship match on Nitro the night after Mayhem.
You have all that correct.
Okay.
Please.
So he says, here are the random Lethal Lottery teams, okay? We have Mike Awesome and Bam Bam Bigelow,
It's a heck of a team.
who it is noted are feuding.
Right.
Random.
We have Scott Steiner and Sting, who it's noted are feuding.
Right.
Random.
We have got Alex Wright and the Disco Inferno,
His tag team partner.
who are a team.
Yes.
And
How
in-
random.
And in the final random match, which was actually the second one, but I'm doing it last,
Sure.
he announces that Lex Luger will be teaming with Booker T. So the champion is in a tournament to determine the number 1 contender to his own title?
Yes.
Yes.
Nobody mentioned this.
No. I will one up you. The champion is in this, as is the top contender at Mayhem.
Right.
And they pointed out what happens if Steiner wins this tournament and then wins the title at Mayhem.
What happens if Steiner is in the tournament and doesn't win the title? Booker defends against himself the next night?
We may get that. There's all like this all took 0 seconds of thought. And yet somehow it made it through. There's so many ways this could have gone wrong for them. So Steiner eventually comes out. A brawl is supposed to break out, but no one knows what to do. So for a while, they're all just standing there staring at each other.
They can't figure out how to brawl.
That's what happened. Finally, there's a big giant battle royal. The crowd's, as Brian noted, the giant battle royal always gets over. The crowd is super hot. Everyone's going nuts. Now, it's one thing when you don't have a finish, so you say, let's just go to commercial. They didn't have a finish, so they cut away from this big giant fight to show the natural born thrillers walking through the parking lot. Then they went to commercial. Okay. Vito has a meeting with Crowbar.
Oh my god. So apparently they had a match. Okay? Correct me if I miss any of this. They had a match. Or they were in a match. I don't know if they had a match against each other. But somehow, Crowbar ends up with the hardcore title. Vito thinks because he helped him get the title, he's also the champion.
Sure.
Okay. So, Vito congratulates them on becoming co-champions. Crowbar says, I won this. I deserve to get this belt. Vito mumbles through a promo challenging him for later. And then Crowbar says, yes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, as Vito is doing his entire promo, he's doing bad shadowboxing
Yes.
through the whole thing.
Right.
He's like, hey, he's doing the bad, how pro wrestlers do it, like, hey, we won the title together. Crowbar's like, yeah, we. I'm like, what's happening here?
You look like a Looney Tune right now.
So did Vito. That's my point. What's he doing this for in the middle of an apparently important promo?
Hey, you want to fight that?
I literally punched the microphone
Yes, you did.
legitimately that time.
Is it injured?
I'm injured.
Suddenly, and I do mean suddenly, we cut to Lance Storm, who storms up, in fact, to Mike Sanders and says, quote, "This place is crazy. I can't wait till Mayhem. I need erection tonight."
Excuse me.
That's what he said.
What he said.
That is what he said. Don't get mad at me.
Yes. He didn't like crazy. Mayhem was fine. Or something like that.
So Sanders says, "You'll get your erection tonight." He also announces,
It's a dick joke. It's funny.
I can't help it. We've been doing it for
But
weeks
it's
now.
not our dick joke. It's their dick
I'm
joke.
just telling you what happened.
We are recapping
Yes.
what happened
Yes.
factually. If NPR reviewed this, it would be the same thing.
I don't think
That's
so.
his name, Erection.
He also announces, Mike Sanders does, that he got Scott Steiner anger management courses.
If they screw this up,
Of course they will.
I quit.
Of course they will. He says, "Steiner, I got you anger management." He holds out a clipboard. Steiner says, "Yeah, whatever." He signs. "I'm going to find out who made me and Stinger a team." It was Flair.
Yeah.
We all saw this.
Yep.
Unless you want to attribute it to the blind draw, in which case it's God. Those are your two options.
God don't want any part of that.
Crowbar versus Big Vito.
Another hardcore match. My
I will
God.
at least say this. They brawled the back. They brawled back to the ring.
They brawled into this table they claim is catering.
They said
Yeah.
there was.
I'm like, you got 400 people under contract and you got one table?
They just
That's catering?
randomly in a hallway as a table, which they noted had tea and crumpets and fish and chips.
That's right.
Because they're in London, you see.
Right.
Now, I will say at least this for this match. They set up a table and the place goes nuts. And then when they teased going through the table, everyone started to boo. Hey, there was something there, Brian. I know I've seen 700 hardcore matches like
Vinny,
you have too.
let me tell everybody what actually happened, okay? Vito sets up a table outside. He puts Crowbar on it. He walks to the steps. He walks up the steps. He climbs to the bottom rope. He climbs to the middle rope. He climbs to the top rope. He braces himself. He stands up tall. And Crowbar rolls off the table.
That happened.
I'm like, you spent a fucking hour getting up there, and then he rolls out of the way. So they keep going, and then the table ends up in the ring.
Yeah.
And he puts Crowbar on the ring, and he exits the ring, and he climbs onto the middle rope.
Deliberate
and he
man.
climbs onto the top rope, and he braces himself, and he stands up, and this son of a bitch rolls off the table again. I'm like, fuck. And then, if I'm not furious enough, there is a ref bump.
A what now?
A ref bump in a hardcore match that doesn't even have DQs.
That's strange.
Why is there a ref bump? Well, because Reno was going to interfere, and they wanted to make sure the ref in a no DQ match didn't see interference. Reno comes out, he whacks the guy with a bat, and then Crowbar superplexes him through the table and wins.
And the place went crazy. We went with the table.
They went crazy. Okay, so fine, I'm wrong. But this sucked. I hated it.
Okay. Kevin Nash arrives with his hands in his pockets. How has it taken us this long to realize Orange Cassidy is just the evolution of Big Sexy Kevin Nash?
No, he's not.
I was thinking about this. It's funny that Nash and also Triple H kind of have the same role going in their different companies. They're not doing anything. They're the cool heels.
Yeah.
It's amazing, really.
Funny how it works out that way. Gene interviews Mike Awesome and Bam Bam Bigelow. Mike Awesome reminds us all that apparently on last week's show, Bam Bam Bigelow beat up his friend Crowbar. But he is willing to put all of that aside to have a chance to earn a title shot. Then Bam Bam says, "Hey, you got to worry about tonight." Like, he just said he's going to put all that aside and worry about tonight. Thrillers come out for a promo. So Mike Sanders in his debut segment cut a promo I thought was horrible. Since then, he's been much better. This was back to being horrible again. He's droning on. Kevin Nash is a monster. He's a manipulator. He is a politician. He beats people up. Until last week, Now he's SOL. Horrible fake laugh. Horrible fake laugh. Horrible fake laugh. Stasiak starts to talk. Stevie Ray says, this guy's putting me to sleep.
Dude, he said supposedly. I was done with him then.
Which one, Stasiak or Stevie?
Stasiak did.
So eventually Nash comes out. He says, this is one of several lines in the show I wrote down word for word. I told you a combustion engine runs on gases, and you decided you could be pole position in the Indy 500. What in the hell is he talking about?
He thought that was funny.
So Sanders challenges him to a four corners match against three thrillers, and Nash accepts. Gene interviews Sting, who in a very Sting manner tells Steiner if they work together, they can both get what they want. Not sure how that works since they have to fight each other, but hey. Elix Skipper goes to hit on Miss Jones, the cat's valet. She says no because, quote, you're not over like the cat is.
Well, she's right.
She is right. The cat appears, throws water on Elix. Elix vows to take his girl and his pride. And I simply wrote, well, this was dumb.
You know, there was a weird line in that Sting interview, by the way, where he says, if we could just get through this match tonight, we can both get what we want. Steiner, a title shot at Mayhem, and me back in the mix. So he's admitting that if we square off, he'll win.
Basically.
The Steiner win?
Yeah, that's what he said.
Well, no, Steiner gets the match in Mayhem. And Sting gets
If
the
he
match.
beats Sting.
Well, Sting's trying to... Steiner has the match in Mayhem either way.
Yeah.
I see.
He gets it the night after.
I got it.
Yes.
I got it. I forgot.
To be fair, I was going to say, it's possible Sting also was completely confused as to what was going on.
Well, I mean...
So we got Sting and Scott Steiner versus Mike Awesome and Bam Bam Bigelow. I mostly wrote down, here is where they pointed out, they reminded us all, Steiner has the title shot at Mayhem no matter what.
Yes.
I was trying to figure out what the hell was going on. About the match, I simply wrote, they do stuff for 3 minutes, and Steiner beats Awesome with Avalanche Exploder and Recliner.
So, as we'll find out even more in the next segment, why would you book a tournament and build your entire show around it if it's just bullshit?
Because it's WCW.
They had a 3-minute match, and we're supposed to care about any of this, okay? Then, no sooner should I get upset about that. They cut backstage to the dancing dildos. They are meeting with Chronic. Mm-hmm. And Disco says, you know, Alex and I don't really want to fight each other. Okay, hold on a second. The World fucking Championship means so little to you,
Right.
that you two guys are unwilling to wrestle each other. Okay, that's number one.
Okay.
Disco then says, so on Thunder, you guys won a lot of money from us, so we want you to take our spot in the tournament. Chronic says, well, that doesn't sound like a good idea. I'm like, so you two care so little about the World Championship.
It's not even that. They're fighting to get out of the tournament.
Yes, a tournament where the winning team will fight for a chance at the World Championship. Nobody wants this match.
Yeah.
Disco and Alex are like, well, what can we do? And Chronic they go, well, pay us more money. Disco's got some cash in his pocket. He hands it over to Chronic and they say, fine, we'll take your spot. Which, by the way, leads to another interview later where Chronic says, if we win, we won't fight each other.
That is correct.
Prestigious title.
Even Russo had to be sitting at home going, this is some hot garbage. This is bullshit.
Now, I will say one thing. It's not that they didn't care about the world title. It's that Disco and Alex were scared of Scott Steiner.
Fair.
They were more... Now, that's still dumb. They still did it desperately get out of the tournament for a chance to win the world title. Because Steiner scares them more than the appeal of being world champion.
Well, that is one shitty world championship then, dude.
I'm not disagreeing.
This championship is supposed to be worth millions of dollars a year. And they're afraid to take one beating from Scott Steiner, which they've probably taken 50 beatings already for free.
Now, in between, there was one small segment I want to note. Jimmy Hart is doing the gimmick where he's challenging DJs from around the country.
Right.
He announces that he has been challenged. Someone has picked up the gauntlet. It's a DJ from Augusta, Georgia. And Jimmy Hart proceeds to make fun of the accents of people of Augusta, Georgia. Jimmy Hart.
Yes.
The mouth of the South.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
He's a heel.
Just making sure we're clear on that. So after the Boogie Nights pay Chronic to take their tournament spot, we cut to the Filthy Animals, who blatantly stooge them off.
Yes.
And Flair sees this and promises to take care of it. Gene interviews Booker, informs him that he will no longer be facing the Boogie Nights tonight. He'll be facing Chronic. And Booker doesn't sweat them. He doesn't sweat Lex, and that's about that. Flair meets with the Boogie Nights. They're taking their gear off. And Flair says, "You don't have the night off. I've got a big surprise for you." And Disco says, "On my birthday?" And Flair says, "Happy birthday." And he walks out.
And he adds, first he says, "I saw what you did, you're busted." Then he says, "But I like that match, so it'll stick." It's anything, just whatever. Then they go to Gene with huge erection.
All right.
And this is 5 talking segments in a row now.
Sure.
And we're about to get 6.
Sure we are. So I was pressed for time. I was in a hurry to get the show done and get here to do this show. But I had to go back and write down the bullshit all these men said. This is what they said to hype up their feud with Team Canada. Each guy had like one line. Huge Erection says, "Not only are you Canadian, it's obvious you're a moron." Chavo says, "Team Canada, you're on the brink of annihilation at Mayhem, but if you want to speed up the extinction process, that's okay with the Misfits." We go to Lash LaRue. "You keep talking about how smart and superior Canadians are. It makes me wonder if you really are Canadian."
Wait, what?
Even Huge Erection is like, the hell? And finally, The Wall says, "Only sailors and male strippers are named Lance. Which one are you?"
What?
And Gene Okerlund says, "Ooh, that's interesting." So listen, there's a lot of debate about verbal presentation of pro wrestling in the year 2019. I just want to say this. If I ever again in my life complain about overly scripted promos, remind me of this segment. I will apologize. Scripted promos have their place in pro wrestling. That cannot be denied. The Battle Dome dudes meet with Doug Dillinger, who they call Santa Claus. They demand some fake-ass wrestlers. Up steps Rick Steiner. As a giant brawl breaks out, I'm watching Rick Steiner brawl with Terry Crews. It's the weirdest damn thing.
6 talking segments in a row.
They didn't fly these guys.
Go ahead.
They didn't fly these guys to the UK. This is a pre-tape.
This was
right?
a pre-tape.
Okay.
I would have taken 60 talking segments in a row over this next match.
You know what's funny about this match?
Nothing.
I watched it twice. Okay.
What?
Because
You're a sturdier man than I am.
it got so bad that I was like, has it been this bad from the opening bell?
Yes.
Okay. The answer is it actually wasn't. It was not good,
No.
but everything was okay until, of all people, Booker T got the hot
The
tag.
one guy in this match. Brian Adams,
Luger.
Ryan Clark.
Lex Luger is working with Chronic, and it fell apart when Luger tagged in Booker.
That is a fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was Brian Clark always this horrible? And I just have not noticed?
No.
Okay, so it's osmosis teaming with Brian Adams.
Sure.
Well, I mean,
Did you see the pile driver?
neither guy Brian Clark had one match for sure worse than this. This is, I'm positive, the worst match of Booker's career. This may have been the worst match of Brian Clark's WCW run. Everything they tried got fucked up.
I never had a match this bad. And I'm including our hair match.
Yeah.
I'm not sure you did.
I'm pretty sure. I had some shitty matches.
Oh, dude.
But no one saw them, so they don't count. So, it's awful. Everything they do gets fucked up. It's a tag match.
Yes.
I'm begging at one of them to please tag out. It's awful. It's awful. It's awful. At one point, they both bonk, they both sell, and Stevie Ray on commentary says, quote, "What happened there?"
Well, what happened was Booker shot him in, and I think he went for a knee. And for some reason, Brian Clark thought the spot was, I'll hit the ropes, and as I'm running, I'll give you a knee. Why would you ever do that? But he hits him, and they both get hit with a knee, and they fall down. And Stevie Ray, of all people, is flabbergasted. So finally, Booker hits the missile drop kick. Steiner hits Booker with a bat. Chronic hits High Times, get the pin. Brian Clark had been wrestling all over the world for 11 years at this point. Both members of Chronic had been working for longer than Lance Storm.
Wow.
Booker was also horrible in this match. It's fair to say that.
Yeah, he was the main problem. Him and
Yes.
Brian Clark were horrendous together.
You're correct. So, the finish is Steiner hits Booker with a pipe. Chronic hits the High Times. And then Booker T, the worst world champion there's ever been, got pinned.
Yeah.
Good God. Then Chronic does a promo. They tell Gene they are a well-oiled ass-kicking machine. They promised they would not fight each other. If they win this little tournament, if one wins the belt, both win the belt. So do they think if they win, they can just forego facing each other and just face the champion in a handicap match?
Yes.
That's kind of what Vito thought in the opening segment.
I suppose. Chuck Palumbo versus Sean O'Hare versus Sean Stasiak versus Kevin Nash in a four corners match.
This was bad, but it was way better than that previous
A
match.
billion times better. Well, this made me laugh because I suspect Kevin Nash ran the ropes and ran the corners more in this match than in his entire WCW run up to this point. They're zipping him left, they're zipping him right, north, east, west, south. He's running all over the place. Finally, he comes back, hits a bunch of punches, hits a bunch of big boots.
My favorite part is he
What?
goes for the power bomb, but he must sweep his beautiful hair out of the way. And that gives Jindrak the opportunity to cut him
I
off.
see.
His vanity was his downfall.
Well, yes.
They beat him up. Nobody comes out to save Kevin Nash, the smartest man in wrestling.
He has no friends.
Can't even book himself as having one buddy.
We mentioned the finish.
Who gives a shit?
Reno ran in for the DQ in a four-way.
Oh, okay, great.
They beat Nash up and sent on him. Elix Skipper versus the Cat. I guess they just gave up on editing Cat's music. No entrance for him, no entrance for Elix. The match just starts. They're doing some stuff out there, and Stevie Ray, not a fan of having all these women at ringside.
I'll say.
Doesn't like yaks getting involved in wrestling. And Elix is shouting at Miss Jones. Stevie Ray is talking about how you got to talk to a yak. And then Miss Jones hauls off and kicks Elix Skipper in the head. I've never heard a man laugh as hard as Stevie
To
Ray
which
did.
Stevie said she must have learned that at Yak University.
Eventually he did say that, yes. The match continues. Elix puts on the Grey Cup ring, never gets to use it, gets felinered, gets pinned.
Is Stevie Ray a babyface?
He's Stevie Ray.
Okay.
He's there to entertain himself,
Apparently.
which is what I do on this show, so it's a spirit I can appreciate.
There was just nothing to this match.
No.
Boogie Nights go out for a mystery opponent.
Oh my
I
god.
wonder who it could be.
The highlight of this show.
The highlight of my day.
Goldberg and the dancing dildos was just the greatest thing ever. You know what's amazing about it too? Goldberg was by far the worst worker in this match, but his stuff looked the best of everybody.
Probably hitting him as hard as he could.
He's just suplexing these guys all over. He's throwing them all over the place. It's just unbelievably great. It's like 2 minutes. Jackhammers one, jackhammers the other, does a push-up on both for the pin. The place is going absolutely crazy.
Yep.
I'm like, this is the depths of despair. And this guy is still just the greatest thing.
Yep.
My notes here simply read 5 stars.
Oh,
This is a 5-star squash match. This is up there with Roderick Strong and Kurt Angle. There was multiple dragon squash. There's one just recently we saw that. I'm trying to remember. It was Bianca had a great one. Bianca Belair on NXT. No one else is remembering that.
no, I don't remember that one being that great.
Gene interviews Steiner, who vows to win his match and celebrate horizontal with his freaks.
Right.
Team Canada, or was this Lance doing a promo, actually? Lance says he left his boys in the back, challenges Huge Erection to do the same. It is time for the Canadian anthem. And I don't know if it's because it's the Commonwealth or if just the English are way more polite, but they all stand silently for the Canadian national anthem here in England.
Yeah.
Then, of course, Lance Storm comes out. Did we mention that Vince Russo's not on the show anymore?
Right.
Yeah.
They don't have to call him Huge Erection anymore.
No, they do not.
He can call him whatever they want.
There's a lot of things they could change. And
That
they
would be the
don't.
first one. So they're resting. No one cared about the match at all, even a little bit. Team Canada runs out, but MIA runs out to beat them up 3-on-2. They couldn't find one more fake Canadian to make this even up these odds. So Hugh is going for the moonsault, but Major Guns pulls Lance out of the way.
Well, what happened was Lance is laying there,
Sorry,
and she
boss.
grabs his arms like way too early. And so they just lay there for a second while Lance waits for the right time.
Yes.
But it doesn't matter. Like, it's already ruined. She grabbed him way too early. So he rolls out of the way, and Huge Erection crashes, and she gives him a roll of quarters. He punches Huge Erection, who kicks out. And then Lance puts him in the half crab. Erection is about to stretch to the ropes. Major Guns throws in the towel.
That,
This whole thing is just appalling.
was there not a gym sock available?
And he wins. She turns.
You're 12 years old.
Okay. Then they go backstage to Gene. He's with Lance and Major Guns. And he's like, why did you turn? And her whole explanation is, I'm Canadian now.
Right.
That's what she said. She said, all my explanation is this, and she removed her American flag bikini to reveal a Canadian flag bikini and said, I'm Canadian.
So can you imagine what losers MIA must be? You know what I'm saying? They were so cocky, so to speak, in their promo earlier. They're all bragging how stupid the Canadians are. And meanwhile, Lance and Major Guns put one over on all of those geeks. And apparently they're such geeks that she went back to them and was like, I had it way better with Lance.
Well, then Lance says, he actually said this. He did say this. I'm going to finish Rection off for good
That's what he said.
at Mayhem. And I thought, so you did the title match here, but you're still doing the title match there. So this whole thing could be a waste of time because the winner of that match is the champion anyway. Who cares?
Right.
There's a lot of stupid stuff in 2000. Chronic versus Sting and Scott Steiner with Madeja on commentary.
This was so much better than another Chronic match.
Yeah.
Yes, because the other one was like the worst Chronic match they ever had in WCW. Not the worst of all time.
There were still a lot of spots that looked horrible.
Taker and Kane was worse, but
There was a spot where Steiner hit the ropes on one side, he hit the rope on the other side, and he just stopped running and tagged.
I know what you're talking about.
That was the hot tag, by the way.
I wrote Steiner casually tags out while stumbling the ropes and then makes his own comeback.
He did hit the ropes poorly, but it was just funny because, like, in storyline, the idea is when you hit the ropes, they propel you back the opposite way.
That's correct.
So if you hit the ropes on two sides, you should be running as fast as you possibly can out of control.
Sure.
And he just stops.
He did.
Yeah.
He just stops.
Like
stops.
a human.
He tags in Sting, and then he turns around and beats Chronic up anyway.
Yeah.
So why did he bother tagging out? So Chronic hits High Times, but for no reason, they decide not to go for the cover.
Well, Vinny, they don't want to face each other.
I hadn't thought of that, Brian.
It was stupid, but made sense.
So Medeja slaps Adams. Sting kicks Adams out of the ring. And I will say this finish was cool. Wrath goes for Meltdown. Right. Does the big arm wringer, does the pump handle, sets him up. The place is going crazy. This move always looks cool. And he throws Sting up, and Sting smooth as glass, turns it into a death drop, drops him on his head, and pins him.
Awesome.
That was really cool.
That was a great finish.
Yes. Then Steiner, who now is going to face Sting on Thunder, he immediately attacks Sting with a chair. And Booker T is out with a chair, lays out Steiner to make the save. And then he turns and lays out Sting. Because you see, speaking of self-fulfilling prophecies, we'll put the belt on him. We'll have him never, ever, ever win. Every victory he gets will be fluke and influence, and there'll be interference, and we'll screw his opponents over and over and over again. Then when he won't get over, we'll have to turn him.
Yes. I guess. It was stupid.
It was very stupid.
It was just dumb. The show sucks.
This is a terrible
You know that?
Yeah, go watch The Mandalorian.
Do you know, everybody, that Nitro sucks in the year 2000?
It is important.
Yeah.
Okay.
As critics, Brian, it's our job to make sure that's clear.
Yeah, I don't really want to write Death of WCW a third time.
No.
But I do stand by what I said. If I wrote it a third time, I was way too easy on them the first two times. It's much worse than I thought, rewatching it. Here we go.
The finishes on this show were pin after a ref bump in a hardcore match, clean submission in a tag match, pin after interference in a horrible tag team match, DQ in a four corners match, pin after a guy tries to cheat and fails, pin of two dudes simultaneously in an all-time great squash match, submission via towel after interference and a weapon are not the finish, and pin after interference.
Excellent timing, Vinny.
As always.
All right, that's it, everybody. We're wrapping it up for today. Tomorrow, I'll be back for Observer Live, Observer Radio. It's the Wednesday Night Wars, so thank God, good stuff to watch tomorrow.